Come on, you. That's it. This is Kevin Alexander Calkins. My name is Timothy Calkins. My ring name is El Pyromaniaco Tim Arson, also known as Real Time Timmy T, and of course the Zombie. I hail from Staten Island, New York. I weigh in at 265 pounds and I stand at 6 foot 2 inches tall. My occupation over the last 10 years has been as a collector, collecting money for American Express. This is my story on how I was locked in to the world of professional wrestling. Allow me to captivate you into my world. Not to get too melodramatic, growing up there really wasn't a male figure in my household, as I'm sure of many other people. However, my male figures were every Saturday and Sunday on Channel 9 here in New York, Channel 5, the WWF. And it started at a very young age. And I love guys like Big John Studd, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. But it was on one November cold night on Superstars of Wrestling that Randy Macho Man Savage snapped. He went to the top rope with the ring bell, and a defenseless Ricky the Dragon Steamboat laid in the center of the ring. Ref was nowhere in sight, and he jabbed it right into the throat of Ricky Steamboat, crushing his larynx, making him swallow his tongue. By far, I was captivated at that moment. It was by far the most jubilant, joyful time that I felt, and especially right around the holiday season. And probably in my life. In my heart, I knew the heat that he drew, the shocked reaction from the crowd, the stunned disbelief from Vince McMahon at that time when he was a commentator, the hatred that was spewed at the Macho Man. I wanted that. I wanted to experience every bit of that. Okay? You see, that single moment would lead to probably what many believed to be, and also many cliche to be, the greatest moment in the history of WrestleMania. But without the setup and the build-up to that match, perhaps WrestleMania 3 is just another match with Randy Macho Man Savage and Ricky Steamboat. You see, this is my passion. And this is why I eat, sleep, and breathe for this business. Day and night, 24/7, 365 days a year. My wife, my son, he can take bumps. We know wrestling, okay? And it's because I know that you just don't have the greatest match in the history of WrestleMania without a worthwhile build-up. So that the entire WWE Universe eats, they breathe it in, and they can't wait to see it unfold. They can't wait for that event. And that's why I know that with this opportunity, with Tough Enough, I know that I can show people that even though you're PG, it's still possible, and I know that I can captivate the people. And that's my goal, to snap. But before we get too carried away and too hyped up too soon, let's progressively move forward and get into exactly how I found my lifelong wife, the wrestling ring. Don't tell my wife. Right after I got out of high school, I was working on Wall Street as a stockbroker trainee. My friend Bobby, who was in the Golden Gloves, was going down to Gleason's Gym to train. So I was like, all right, let me go check it out. So anyway, I walk into this place, the world famous Gleason's Gym. There's the wrestling ring and Johnny Rod's right in the middle of it. And I pretty much had an orgasm in my pants, for the most part. So while in his office for the next 4 hours, in stunned disbelief of the pictures, the programs, and it was at that point that I started to train at Johnny's, and over the next 7 years, that's all I did was train at Johnny's. It took me a year and a half before I even got to be in my first match, and it was only as a referee, as a special guest referee. Now today, they got guys that after 2 months, they sell tickets and they get to wrestle. I think it's kind of tapped out. I'm not in favor of that at all. So time came where I said to Johnny, look Johnny, I want to do something. I don't know what it is, but I've been here for 8 years and I'm ready to do something. And of course Johnny was always, oh, you're not ready, Pa, you're not ready, coño. And any of you who've been trained by Johnny Rides know exactly what I'm talking about. He holds you tight like a father that never wants you to leave his house. Even though he knows inevitably in the back of his mind that someday you're going to leave his house. Well, he took me to an autograph signing of Latin wrestling stars, and Carlos Colon just happened to be there, and I just happened to have my tape and promo package in the car. And the next thing you know, Carlos Colon, World Wrestling Council, called me up the next week, and they signed me to a 3-year contract to come down to Puerto Rico and wrestle, which was by far the greatest thing that had ever happened to me at that moment. And I mean, I had nothing here in New York outside of, a few rats here and there. I was single for the most part. Pretty much it was just leaving, drinking Friday nights with my friends. And I went down to Puerto Rico, set sail. As soon as they brought me, I'm thinking I'm going to be, brought to maybe the Caribe Hilton or some presidential suite, for the American wrestlers that they bring down there, the stories that I've heard of Ric Flair and the times that he had with Roddy Piper. And basically I was brought to a pool room of a Fleabag motel where I was counting cockroaches to go to sleep. I was counting cockroaches just to fall asleep at times. But I didn't care. And I was now in wrestling college. And over the next 3 years, every 4 days, we traveled 4 days a week. Every Tuesday, there were promos at the office, and I didn't care. There was nothing that was going to get in my way and stop me. And not to mention, but there were also chicks too. Many, 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 many. La Isla del Encanto. That means the island of enchantment in Puerto Rico. And I learned there are a lot of enchanted little jewels and treasures in Puerto Rico. In any case, that's besides the point. 2 months in, I meet my wife, and all that comes to an end. And it was probably for the better because that helped me focus a little bit more on what I was doing. And I got better as I continued to cut promos. I got better because that's one of the biggest things today. You put a camera in front of these kids today, most of them are paying their way onto indie shows. Some of the tapes you're probably looking at are kids that have no clue how to reach out to the camera and say, look at me, buy me. Because they were never taught. They were never taught the right way. They were never taught how to build a match. In Puerto Rico, my times were great. Granted, after the office realized that I found a wife, that I found a girl and that her family was feeding me, the money started to become a little bit shorter, but that's fine because, like I said, it was wrestling college. I should have had to pay them for what I learned in Puerto Rico, and I'm very thankful for my time there. Sometimes in life, we have opportunities that are taken from us. Someone great once said that life is a game of inches, and the inches that we need are everywhere around us. Now, I know that I've made a lot of bad choices in my life. I've made a lot of bad mistakes. However, I have a beautiful family, and I'm extremely grateful for everything that I have. I had a great match with Matt Stryker on June 12th, 2006 on International Heat, which I thought for sure I was going to get signed. I didn't get signed. The next night, I came back, and Paul Heyman made me the ECW Zombie. And even after that, I didn't get signed. But for the next 4 years, this is what I've worn. This is what I've done to put food on my table. I'll sacrifice anything to make it in this business. If it means putting crazy zombie makeup on, whatever it takes to feed that little boy, I'll do. When opportunities get taken from you, like the first Tough Enough, the second Tough Enough, where I just shrugged it off and I thought that I was too big for it because I had supposedly paid my dues, these are chances that get taken from you. So when I saw this new chance come about, I realized what it is not to have and how close I can be to my dream and get it snatched away. How do you think that makes me feel? I'm the real Timmy T, and I'm the real professional wrestler. And if you look past this tape and say next, you're not only doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to WWE Universe, you're doing a disservice to everybody. Because I have what it takes. And there's nothing that'll stop me. And you put that brass ring in front of me, I'll swallow it.